My name is Tyrone Waters, and this is my story. I have a mental illness. I was first diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia in 1995. It has been a long battle and struggle for me to manage the constraints of my illness. It is a day-to-day struggle, but most recently for the past several years, the disease schizophrenia has been easier to deal and cope with, mainly because of a newly prescribed medication, which is called Risperdal, 4 milligrams taken once a day at bedtime. Bedtime for me is at 7 p.m. each night. It has also been easier to deal and cope with the illness by having tremendous support from friends and family, and my higher power. I mention bedtime as being 7 p.m. 7 nights a week, and it is due to a side effect of my medication, which makes me drowsy and tired. But I'm still able to function. The best way to describe how it feels is it's like you're fighting to stay awake on the medication. But this medication, Risperdal, provides quality of life, which I otherwise would not have. I was pretty much jobless, with an occasional temporary job here and there. Life became stressful. I began thinking paranoid thoughts. I began thinking people were out to get me, and that they were following me. I felt the walls of my world closing in around me slowly, as though I was trapped in a cell with nowhere to go. I became fearful of food and eating out at restaurants, thinking that the employees of the restaurants were doing something to the food, when in all actuality and reality they had not done anything wrong to the food, but it was my paranoia setting in. Then in 1995, I had my first serious run-in with the law. I was arrested and accused of attempted arson against a state of Oregon correctional officer and her van. She accused me of trying to ignite her van on fire. I did no such thing. The police found a gas can containing water in it in my vehicle at the time of my arrest. I was taken to the Justice Center and booked and charged with attempted arson. It all seemed unreal. Why was this happening to me? The police strip-searched me, took away all of my clothes, and gave me a paper suit to wear. I was in jail for 90 days before my attorney decided that I was unable to aid and assist in my own defense, not fit to proceed at trial. So I was ordered by Judge Dorothy Baker to go to the Oregon State Hospital for an evaluation or until fit to stand trial. I was at the Oregon State Hospital for an additional 90 days before doctors determined and diagnosed me with having a mental illness, schizophrenia. It has become very clear to me that the state doctors did not know what medication would be appropriate for me. Thus, I had and was forced against my will to try several different medications, some of which were Thorazine, Prolixin, Haldol, Zyprexa, and now Risperdal. The state doctors told me that I had a mental illness and that I would need to take medication lifelong. I was finally discharged from the state hospital fit to stand trial, and I took a plea bargain to attempted arson on the advice of the public defender, and I was given 5 years probation. I was ordered by Judge Dorothy Baker to stay on my medication, which was Thorazine at the time, and be compliant with the conditions of my probation. After that, I met a psychiatrist, Dr. Charles Belleville, who had become my psychiatrist. He took me off Thorazine and put me on Zyprexa. I took Zyprexa on and off for a number of years, and each time I went off my medication, I would wind up in the hospital, in a psychiatric unit at the hospital. Zyprexa was not working well for me. I experienced heavy weight gain and found out that Zyprexa can cause diabetes in African Americans. If they continued with the medication, they would have weight gain. so I would leave the hospital being put back on Zyprexa, and then a short time after, going off of it again. My next episode or run-in with the law came September 17, 2001. The police had been dispatched to my residence, and when they pulled up, I stepped off a neighbor's porch with a pellet gun in my hand. The police immediately drew their weapons and pointed them at me and told me to drop the gun. At that point, they repeated several times, "Drop the gun," and a swarm of police had arrived on the scene. I had not been taking my medication, and my symptoms were severe. I was confused and fearful. I feared that if I flinched or moved or did drop the gun, that the police would surely kill me. So I stood still and rigid, not moving with the gun in my hand, and the police then fired beanbag rounds, 3 and 2 live rounds of ammunition at me. I was struck by the beanbag rounds in my right knee, right buttocks, and left wrist. Through the grace of God, the live rounds missed me. I fell to the ground. The rest became a blur. I remember waking up in a lot of pain at Legacy Emmanuel Hospital in the emergency room, where my mother stood by my side of my hospital bed. Several tests were performed: X-ray, blood draw, MRI, etc. Then I was strapped to a bed in 4-point restraints and locked in a room with a police officer standing outside my door. The next morning, the police came in my room, handcuffed me and arrested me, and took me downtown for booking at the Multnomah County Justice Center jail. This would turn out to be a horrific nightmare for the coming year. I was ordered by Judge Julie France to get an evaluation at the state hospital while still in custody. I had been charged with attempted aggravated murder against one of the police officers from the day of the incident. His name was Portland Police Officer Derek Foxworth. He was also the chief of police at that time. I was found unable to aid and assist, not fit for trial. I still had injuries from being shot, so I went south to Salem, Oregon, in custody to the Oregon State Hospital for an evaluation and treatment. While at the state hospital, I was a victim of sexual assault and mistreatment by another patient and by several staff. My Oregon Health Plan benefits have been cut due to state budget cuts, and I'm now forced to pay for my medications and mental health treatment. I have been hospitalized on psychiatric units both at the state hospital and private hospitals a total of 8 times. Some of us have struggled for many years with our psychiatric illness, while others have just begun to experience the onset of symptoms. Some of us have experienced changes in our ability to perceive reality clearly and have experienced hallucinations. Whether they come in the form of hearing voices or seeing visions, some of us have felt increased energy or have experienced changes in our ability to think and make judgments. We may have found that our thoughts sometimes race and seem to go out of control. Some of us have felt a loss of energy, a loss of enjoyment of life, and have perceived life from a negative perspective. Perhaps our sleeping patterns and appetite have changed as well. We may have become suicidal. We may find that we have difficulty with our thoughts and concentration. These lists are far from